I'm Harrison Graham. We are back with another mailbag here on Chicago Bears Now from the Bears 85 #Bears. What's an under the radar trade we could do that wouldn't cost much? Good question, because obviously, we always get questions. Trey Hendrickson, Jeffrey Simmons, and listen, we love answering those questions. The hypotheticals are fun, right? It's a fun part of sports. But these are some guys I think are worth monitoring. Calais Campbell's in his late 30s. The Cardinals have lost 5 straight. He's a versatile defensive lineman, would bring some leadership experience, and he's still productive on a limited snap count. So, would a pick swap get that done? I think he'd be someone I look at. Rasul Douglas with the Dolphins. If I'm Miami, I'm getting rid of everybody that I can. I don't think it would cost more than a pick swap. Tyreek Stevenson sounds like he's avoided major injury, but I still think you could use some corner depth there. Tyree Wilson, obviously Bill Barnwell had that trade idea swap, little Braxton Jones, Tyree Wilson. If you could get him for, a cheap player or a pick swap or something like that, I'd be interested. Kyle Van Noy, still a good pass rusher. It hasn't been as good this year as he was the last couple of years with Baltimore, but he's making like $2 million, so I'd be open to that. More of a 3-4 guy, so you'd probably have to use him situationally. And then Alontae Taylor, a guy Dennis Allen's familiar with. He's actually been pretty good this year for the Saints, so maybe he'd be an option if they want to bring him or another corner in to, be some insurance for an injury, or a guy like Nashawn Wright, who's been a little up and down. Notice I didn't mention a running back. I think right now, corner and defensive line are the two spots I'd be looking at if I'm looking to bolster this team. I don't think DeAndre Swift's the end-all, be-all. Kyle Monungai is still a very young player, obviously. But if this trend continues of at least being pretty good running the football, maybe not best in the league like we've seen the last 2 weeks, I think you can more than get by for the rest of this season and revisit running back in the offseason if you want to upgrade then. Sure, if there's an injury the next 2 weeks, that could change things. But corner, defensive line, those are a couple of areas I could see the Bears making a minor move during the NFL trade deadline, or before it, I should say. What is the bigger need for the Bears, in your opinion, cornerback or D-line? Give us your thoughts in the comments below. And if there's a player that you specifically would like to add, let me know who that is. Okay, Sitch Lover with the $2 super. Play calling was mid, too much Rome, spread it out. I don't know if I agree with any of that, to be honest. I think the play calling was fine. Also, if anything, it wasn't enough Rome. I think he only had 6 targets. They misfired on a couple. He dropped the ball. Caleb missed a couple passes. I don't know if I agree with that. And by the way, this passing game's been at its best when Caleb has targeted Rome more. So I hear you. You want everybody to eat, but if Rome's that top guy, most weeks he should have 10-plus targets. I would say that. Alex Todd, appreciate the 5. Can we shout out how refreshingly intense but also calm Ben Johnson is? Perfect coach for Caleb to excel. Coach of the year. Yeah, I think the relationship with Ben and Caleb is developing nicely. Obviously, the play has been inconsistent. Ben said it would be a bumpy ride, but I think Caleb is taking to the hard coaching well. But you make a good point there. He seems, as a coach, to balance that intensity and calmness somehow. It's hard to thread that needle, right? There's a lot of rah-rah, loud, overly intense coaches that don't really know how to be calm in certain moments. Ben seems to understand when to push certain buttons, and that feels pretty rare as a young guy. So I love the hire. He was my top guy by a mile. He's somehow exceeded my expectations. I think he's been fantastic. I think right now Shane Steichen's probably Coach of the Year. They're on top of the AFC. Daniel Jones has been awesome, but Ben's probably in that Tier 2 list of candidates with Mike Vrabel and a few other guys. So, yeah, there's a chance. If they somehow won this division, I think he'd have a very strong case. Right now I'd go with Steichen, but he's probably top 5, top 6 in terms of odds to win Coach of the Year. I'd say that for sure. We're here every single day, 24/7, 365, content all year long. We do live shows. We do regular videos. We do short-form content, community poll posts where you guys can interact. We're all over the place here on the YouTube channel, so subscribe, turn on notifications. We do these live mailbags every Monday, Thursday, and, of course, we answer your questions on game day as well. Okay, Tricky, do you think height could be playing a role in Caleb's struggle in the offense? Look, he's 6'1"-ish. You're going to have some balls batted. Saw a couple more the other day. So it's always going to play a minor role. I don't think this is like a Kyler situation where he literally can't see. But, yeah, there's probably certain plays where, it can be a challenge, especially that's why they had to bolster the interior. If your interior offensive line is getting driven in your face consistently, it's hard to see over them if you're a 6'1" or less quarterback. So I think it's probably a small part of it tricky, but I think the last couple weeks he's just been a little sped up. Like I think before the bye week he was getting himself into a pretty good rhythm. Even when he was missing some throws, it felt like the rhythm, the base was in a better spot. I think he's been a little sped up, especially in that New Orleans game. I also didn't think the tackles were as good in that game as they were in prior weeks. So no panic here. Got to improve, obviously. But I would say minor, small reason. I don't think it's a primary reason, though. Okay, Bears goated. Has Tremaine earned an extension? That's hard to say. He's still got a year left with $18 million. I would say if the season ended today, I would keep him next year under that number. Now, could you get him on a team-friendly deal? Like, could you extend him on a less per year basis than what his initial deal was? Like, they extended TJ 2 for $20, which he's been the highest graded linebacker the last 2 weeks in the NFL. I know PFF's been wonky this year, but he's been fantastic since he's been back. Tremaine's been really good as well. He's playing much better at that will linebacker spot. Let's continue to see this play out. Other than the Raiders game, I think Edmunds has played pretty well this year. Let's see if he can keep stacking. I like what he's doing. I love what TJ's doing. But you've got the benefit of having him under contract next year. You don't have to force the issue, but I'm happy with how he's playing. This is what we were hoping for when they signed him. So maybe he's finally found a home in this scheme and in that will linebacker position where he was playing Mike before. All right, more questions to come here on this mailbag, so continue to fire away. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat, but do want to show some love to our sponsor, PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I've had a really good season on PrizePicks. The last couple lineups I've whiffed on, but when you go on a 8 out of 9 tear and get up $500-600, you got a little wiggle room, and that wiggle room started with that $50 in lineups with code CLNS after you play a $5 lineup. Just saying, opportunities there. PrizePicks is also the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in one lineup. Want to pick more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? You can do so right now only on PrizePicks. The way PrizePicks works is very simple. 2 or more players in a lineup, up to 6 players. You pick more or less on their stat projections. If you hit, you win money. I already got a little 2-player lineup that I feel good about this upcoming week. Derrick Henry, goblin play to score a touchdown, rushing, receiving. I think he finds the end zone. And then Rome Odunze, demon play. Those are harder to hit. 1 touchdown, more than half a touchdown. He's due 2 weeks in a row without a touchdown after having at least 1 in the first 4 games. I think he bounces back, finds the end zone here. $20 entry to win $55 on this 2-player lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Fago, thoughts on trying Ruben Hyppolite at a position like corner? He's got the speed. He cannot play corner, guys. Just because you run a sub 4.4 doesn't mean you can run corner. That's straight line speed. There's technique. There's coverage skills. It's knowing, could he, train for a couple years and be a strong safety or something? Maybe, but, you know how hard it is to play corner in the NFL? It is extremely difficult. I would say after quarterback, offensive tackle, and defensive line, it's the hardest position in the league. Especially in man schemes, it's it's you and no one else, bro. And all the rules are against you, by the way. So, no, I don't think he can play corner. Is it alarming he's been a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks? Yeah, I don't love that, but also at the same time, your top 2 linebackers are playing lights out, and Noah Sewell, who did miss this last game with a concussion, has been really good as your other linebacker. So, we'll see what his future is, but I don't think it's at corner. Appreciate the 10, though. Also, Zane Gray, appreciate the 2. Should Jake Moody become this team's kicker? After 1 game, I said that was premature. After 2 games, it's interesting now, right? I don't think it's for sure he's the guy, but if Cairo doesn't kick this week and Moody's elevated, which would be his final game day elevation with the practice squad, you can do that 3 times. For example, Jonathan Ford, he's out of game day elevation. So if they want him to play again this season, they have to sign him to the 53. If Jake Moody is elevated this week and kicks well, then I think it becomes a tough decision because Cairo's been a great kicker for this team. I know people get frustrated with him because he doesn't have the strongest leg. I do too. I'm frustrated that you can't try 58, 59 yarders with him, especially in end of game situations, because you see it across the league. But if we're being fair and objective, when Cairo's in range, he's been very steady. He's not a perfect kicker. Sometimes he kicks the ball low, but he's very accurate. And when he's in range, he's been very steady. He's been, high 80s in percentage. That's well above average. Like, we've seen much worse here, right? It's we remember Cody Parkey. So I'm not 100% there yet, but if you told me he kicked on Sunday, went 3 for 3 or something like that, hit a long-range kick, that's one thing. We haven't seen one of those 58, 60-yarders. No kick Jake Moody has made yet is a kick Cairo can't make. I do think that's worth mentioning, but at the same time, what if you kind of just, I don't want to say lucked, but kind of lucked into your long-term answer here? That's something to consider too, because Cairo's in his, early mid-30s. I think he's 33, 34. So it could be a tough call depending on what happens this week. So this is a big week if Jake Moody kicks. Listen, if you're Jake Moody, all you can do is make it a tough decision on the Bears. So we'll see what happens. If he kicks this week and kicks well, I think it's going to be a big storyline. All right, will the Bears make a trade? Trade deadline coming up. Curious what you guys think. Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Will the Bears make a trade? All right, Kittis, in your opinion, who has been the best player acquisition that Poles made in the offseason? This offseason, Joe Thuney. He's just so steady, man. He is not giving up. I don't think he's given up a pressure. He definitely hasn't given up a sack. He is actually, I think he's maybe given up a couple pressures, but no sacks and no penalties. And this is a highly penalized team, and he does not have one. He's just like a stabilizer to me. Like, regardless of how he plays, which he's been very good, but he's just a stabilizer. I think you could argue it's been the best acquisition of the Poles era. You needed a veteran that's been there and done that. He's won a lot. Oh, and by the way, he's a damn good player. Like, that was such a home run move. 4th-round pick. I get he's 32, but, like, if you get 2, 3, even 2 good years out of this guy, I just think right place, right time. Great move. And you extended him for 17.5 a year. Like, that's, for what he provides, that's kind of a bargain. So, I think he's easily the best move they made this offseason from a player acquisition standpoint. DC Viper, do the Bears need to consider benching Theo? Look, I'd say one good game, one bad game. I did not think he was good against Washington in real time. Some of the grades that have come out, again, PFF's been wonky this year, but other people have analyzed it as well that study this stuff. Did not have a great game. Ben pointed out 2 bad penalties. Wasn't as sharp in run blocking. And that's the thing with Theo. Like, the one thing that was clear and obvious in that Washington game is like, okay, if nothing else, this guy's a major upgrade in the run game than what we've seen from Braxton Jones this year. He doesn't have the longest arm, so there's going to be some pass pro limitations. I think it's still probably an upgrade over Braxton Jones. My guess is we get to the offseason and there's a question mark about left tackle. That would be my guess. I think you're just hoping Theo can be adequate, get you through this season, and then that's probably a position to look into next offseason. Maybe Ozzie can make the transition to the left side next year with the full offseason. Maybe they flip Darnell right and Ozzie's the right tackle. I don't know. But for now, I think he's what you got. But I think it's probably week to week. I mean, he goes out there and has a dud. Who knows? Like, I don't think – Ben doesn't strike me as a guy who's not willing to change it up if necessary. Again, one good game, one bad game. Let's see what he does this week against the Ravens. All right, appreciate all the questions. A lot of good ones today. You guys are crushing it. Follow me on social media. DMs are open at HGramNFL, Twitter and Instagram. Still got to catch up on DMs after the win over the Saints, so I will be sure to do that. And if you have any other questions, ask me over there. Again, it's at HGramNFL. Bear down.